Support for this podcast comes from Invent Together. I bet you didn't know that inventing activity by Black inventors peaked in 1899, and it has never recovered. Black and Hispanic college graduates patented half the rate of white college graduates. That's just one of the reasons why you need to know about Invent Together. When our patent system gets more diverse, our nation will get stronger and more successful. Find out how you can help diverse inventors and unleash economic opportunity at inventtogether.org.
This episode is brought to you by HP Instant Ink. No one is reading your mind, but HP Instant Ink knows when your printer is running low and sends new cartridges before you run out. So you never have to think about ink. For details, visit hp.com/instant ink Spotify. Conditions apply.
Oh, hey everyone! What's up? Welcome back to another edition of the podcast. It's called Lead Singer Syndrome. I am Shane Told. I will be hosting this thing today and every day as I take you into the backstage conversations that I have with other lead singers. We got a good one today. A really good one. I love this guy. John O'Callaghan of the Maine is this week's guest. He's been on before, but I welcomed him back with open arms because he is just so insightful, so knowledgeable. The Maine have solidified themselves in the scene as one of the most business savvy bands, but also they just keep getting better and better musically. But what I really wanted to ask John about was his brand new solo record, which is out now. He calls that project John the Ghost. And this record, to be honest, it kind of took me by surprise. It is like haunting. It is really, really good. I highly recommend you check it out. Of course, I'll play a tune later for all y'all. The record is called I Only Want to Live Once. And yeah, it's out now, and The Maine is always doing stuff. I know we're going to have some new The Maine stuff very soon as well. Before we get into that, a couple of things. So yeah, if you've been listening to the podcast, you know that I'm harping on this Twitch thing, like constantly, like probably an annoying amount. But let me tell you, we have had some really, really, really great guests every Tuesday at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, live on Twitch. It is completely free, okay? It's a really good time. You get a little bit of a visual component. It's chill. It's a good hang. We had Nothing Nowhere himself a couple weeks ago. We had Randy from We Were Sharks last week. We've had everyone from Sunny from POD to Derek from Mayday Parade. But this week, coming up this Tuesday, April 6th, I believe, we have Jacoby Shaddix of Papa Roach. Doesn't get much bigger in rock and roll than that guy. He's going to be on live on Twitch Tuesday, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. All you got to do is go to twitch.tv/Shane Told. And this is a big deal. This is a big deal. Twitch is behind it. They're putting it on the front page. I would love to see a community of my sinners there, hanging out in the chat, interacting with me, interacting with Jacoby, asking questions. I think it's a really great way to sort of, officially launch this thing. Like, let's say that it's been the soft launch, and now this is the hard launch, if you will. So, if you can make it, I know it's the middle of the afternoon, I know it's in the middle of the week, But if you have any way you can come on your phone, whatever, sneak it from the boss, 3 p.m. this Tuesday, twitch.tv/Shane Told. Would be really, really cool to see all y'all there. Don't miss it, okay? Give me a follow. It really is a great way to interact. And I do other stuff on there too. I play tunes. Me and Mike do New Noise every Wednesday on there as well. So there's tons and tons of content. And if you want to hang out with me, the best way to do it is over on Twitch, twitch.tv/Shane Told. And while I have your very captivated ear, I also want to refresh your memory on the Lead Singer Syndrome All Access Club. That really helps this show keep going, keep growing. For as little as $6 a month, that gets you in. That gets you a whole bunch of bonus content, bonus episodes. And it's the only way you can watch the previously aired Twitch streams. So head over there. If you want to support, no pressure. It's all good. leadsingersyndrome.com/all access. And shout out to all my sinners worldwide. I love you all. Thank you so much for the support. So I thought about trying to play some elaborate April Fool's prank on you guys. And then I realized April Fool's totally sucks. It's so overdone, and all anyone has to do is look at a calendar and go, oh, yeah, okay. And I will tell you this, though. I woke up, actually, last night, I looked out my window, and I was like, okay, somebody's on my roof with a confetti machine or a snow machine making fake snow and blowing it in front of my window to freak me out, right? April Fools, haha. Nope, that's real. We have snow here on April 1st in Windsor, Ontario. I'm south of Detroit, okay? Detroit probably has it even worse. So, man, no. I thought the groundhog didn't see his shadow. Anyway, we'll get through it. Happy spring, everybody. Let's get in to this week's episode and my conversation with John O'Callaghan of The Maine and John the Ghost.
And I swear these days I'm stuck in my brain. Wanna play you over and over again. Sticky just like the song in my head. Back to that summer soundtrack. Wanna play you over and over again. Sticky just like the song in my head. And over and over and over in my head. And over and over. Sticky just like the song in my head. And I've made mistakes.
Hello.
Yo, John, man. What's up?
How are you?
I'm good. I'm really good, man. This is crazy. I was looking back at the last time we talked and we did a podcast, and it was, if you can believe it, was almost 3 years ago.
That is gnarly.
Isn't that?
That is gnarly. It's been a while.
I have a great story about that guy, which I'll tell it in a bit. First, we got lots more to talk about. Welcome to Twitch, everybody in the chat. Hello. John plays in a band called The Maine, and he also has an awesome new record out for his side project, John the Ghost. Just came out, what, a week ago?
Yeah, the 12th. I don't even know what
10
day
days.
it is anymore.
Yeah, 23rd? Yeah.
It's the 23rd. Time is not a construct anymore.
What is time? No, honestly.
It's nothing. It doesn't make sense.
I keep thinking about last summer, but last summer was 2019 because last summer didn't really happen. You know what I mean? I keep remembering last year as 2 years ago now. It's been real strange, but no, remind me to tell you the Stain story later. But
okay,
dude, congrats on the record. I mean, I know, you're so busy with The Maine. You guys have been go for, I mean, literally almost 15 years now, nonstop. And you finally found some time to put this out into the world. And it's a really cool record. A lot of experimentation, which I'm a huge fan of, but at its core, some really great songs too.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, it's been, like you said, it's sort of, well, it's been very hard to find time for anything else other than the main because of the way we've sort of been grinding for 15 years.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, you guys have grinded, Silverstein's grinded the same way. It's like,
Yep.
you put out records and then you tour on them. And then when you get inspired and when that quote unquote cycle is done, then you hit the studio, make another record, tour for another 2 years. So clearly we had time last year.
Right.
We finished our European tour in like the end of February. So we got lucky because we got to fly back home before things started shutting down. And then, everything went on standby and I had nothing but time to create. So it was, for as terrible of a year as it was, it was, I guess creatively it was, it afforded the opportunity to experiment, like you said.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I love the record. 9 songs. I heard you had 963 voice notes. I don't know if that's an exaggeration. I
can check my iTunes. I think that's where I pulled it out of my arse from. But
well,
963, 15 hours, 26 minutes.
Right. And this is just accumulated through
for 15 years.
Right. Yeah. Actually, that long?
Probably, to be honest. The big thing when I was like ever getting new like iPhones. So I guess maybe the inception of the voice memo on the iPhone is the time span that I've accumulated those voice memos.
Yep. No, I'm looking just through mine now. And for some reason, whenever I make one, it saves it as an address, like where I am, which is really weird. Okay. I don't know why it's set to that. I don't know how many I have. I got a lot though. And then all I do is I got this little trick from my boy, and he says to just, when something's good, just put in dope. So like, cause you're
I'm trying to think. I think I've done some stuff like that, or like I'll say like, this one's good. It's like,
yeah, I know. But when
I had one that was like, what does it mean? And then I put a little asterisk by it. So I don't know. I need to get on the same page with myself.
No, I know. But that's the thing, right? Is like you never know when creativity is going to hit, and it can be at the weirdest time. I think you mentioned in the interview I read that like, sometimes you're like literally pissing in the background while you're whistling a tune, and it's like you can't control it. But then at the same time, you've got this massive amount of stuff, a little bit of time on your hands, let's say in 2020. And it's like, okay, well, how do you go through this? How do you figure it out? Just laughing at yourself and going like, how did I think this was a good idea?
Absolutely.
Most of the time, probably.
I can play, like, if I just scrolled through this right now and I played a couple for you, some would be as like caveman as like, and then I'll play them like around sometimes my wife, and she'll be like, what are you doing? Like, that sounds insane. But yeah, it's funny because I don't know, what's the strangest place that you remember having like a good idea in?
Oof. I don't know. I don't know about the strangest one. I have a pretty good one. This is kind of weird, actually. I had an idea when I was in Rome visiting the Sistine Chapel.
Okay.
And I was like, yeah, I got this like, but it wasn't like something you think like, oh, you're here. It's like, oh, this beautiful art. Like, you're inspired. It was like, no. Like I had like a sick kind of like riff chug pattern in my head that I didn't want to forget. Like some kind of like little triplet. Like and I was like, okay, I got to get this down. This has been in my head often. And I know I'm going to forget it. So that's probably the weirdest one. But
those are better too. Those are better. The melodic, the musical ones, when you like don't have a guitar, you don't have a piano, but you have a progression or a riff, and you're like, and it's like, listening back and then trying to find it when you go hit the guitar, you're like, that's not a C. That's not even a note.
Right.
There's nothing there.
It's true. I think I heard Chad from Newfound Glory wrote the riff for My Friends Over You like that. Like it was in his head, like dun, 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 or whatever however that goes.
Yeah.
Like he didn't write that on a guitar. He wrote that in his head and hummed it and then figured it out later, which is
good for him.
You never really hear that story, but it does happen.
Absolutely. I always think about the, like Paul McCartney says that he like dreamed yesterday, or whatever it was, and it was like some other words,
scrambled eggs.
I think, scrambled eggs. Yeah. And then when you think about, obviously everything's relative. So when I think about like coming up with some of the main songs, I'm like, can I just have one dream like that song? Can I just have one scrambled eggs dream? Please, like.
There's only one Paul McCartney, unfortunately, too.
Absolutely.
But no, that is a funny story. And I heard that he shelved yesterday for like years because he thought it was something else. He thought, and he would play it for everybody he knew and be like, does this sound familiar? Like, and people would be like, yeah, it kind of does, but nobody could actually say, oh yeah, it's a ripoff of this other song. And then eventually he just like put it out and was like, I hope this is something else.
Yeah.
Which has happened to me too. I've definitely been like, is this familiar because it's good or familiar because it's something else?
Absolutely. That's tough. But, and I think the tougher part is nowadays you'll actually get flagged for it, so I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know either, man. It's a weird, scary world out there. So your record is out now. I Only Want to Live Once, and I listened through this record. I thought this was kind of interesting too about when we talk about songs and inspiration. So I listened through your record, and I think the song that stood out for me right away was the song Drive. And I heard it's in the middle of the record, and I listened to it, and right when it was over, I was like, I want to hear that one again. And I think I actually did listen to it at least twice, maybe 3 times in a row, and then got through the rest of the record. And then, of course, I find out, oh, that's the song you made a video for. And, and there was something magic in that song. So that was one I wanted to ask you about in particular. It feels like a bit of a pandemic song, but I mean, it also has a lot of parallels to just, hey, go for a drive. Like, that's so relatable.
Yeah, I think something, and I've said it before, but the inspiration for that song came from being on a drive, and I wish I had something more cryptic or inspirational to cite, but it was literally just a drive with my wife and our 2 dogs, and I think it's been really important to place emphasis on things that you've taken for granted, or at least for me, especially with the past year that had flown by. There's so many things, even just being on being able to tour in a band, being able to be a musician full time, seeing parts of the world that, the majority of the world doesn't have the opportunity to see. But even something as elementary as getting in the car and driving, and even seeing parts that you're familiar with of your own city. It was actually one of the first songs that I had written after I put out Rolled Down Window, which was the first song I released. And I had initially written it. I got really excited straight off the rip when I wrote it in my head. And I did the same thing. I grabbed my phone, and on the drive, I'm like doing it in front of my wife, and she's thinking I'm crazy, but it was one of those ones I didn't wait long to transfer it to a demo form or some semblance of like, I had to get progression. I had to put the melody down. And I didn't veer far from the actual original structure and demo, to the final form. It was supposed to be for the main, and it just, with the songs that I ended up landing on for the mains record, it just didn't feel like it had a place on the record. So I took a bit more of a chance with the production. I leaned a little bit heavier into the 80s side of things.
Yeah.
And there's a song called Song for Zulu by Phosphorescent that has like a similar vibe that I was kind of trying to emulate a little bit. It's like his song stays pretty drony the whole time. But I can't get away from trying to write pop choruses. That's like just what I like doing. So inevitably I feel like they all sort of try to sneak their way in. So
yeah, but that's what I love about the record too, though, is because I'm with you, man. Like, I love vibe and I love experimentation, but at the same time, do I want to hear that for an entire 45-minute record? Like, there are times when I just want to let go and I want to be sung to, and I want something that's like going to stick in my head. I think almost all the time. So that's what I love, that, obviously the main always gives it to you. And here we are again with your solo stuff following suit. So it's awesome.
Yeah. Well,
awesome.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Of course, man. There's also a song on the record called 8. It's track 9, but it's called 8. And this one stuck out to me too. I mean, it's the big closer of the record. Talk to me about this track too, if you can, because I found it really, really, really amazing as well.
Yeah, it started out as just the piano round, and it's kind of an interesting. I don't know if to be honest, I'm terrible with time signatures when it comes to music theory, and I think it's in 6/8. I'm not 100%. So recording the vocals to the round wasn't difficult. It makes sense in my head, but the dude I was recording with, Matt, he kept getting thrown off by it, and I think we both just finally, when we heard like a bit of percussion to it started to make more sense. I guess lyrically, the song's about my youngest brother who has dealt with epilepsy his entire life. And it was just kind of a gnarly period for him, and gnarly to be sort of his eldest brother. But it's more of a story of, like, from my perspective, more of a story of like triumph, because he kind of went through this whole thing and came out the other side. And it's one of my favorites on the album for sure. It's probably the most like the EP that I put out, I guess. And in terms of vibe, it's very drawn out, and it definitely has more of that mellow vibe. So hopefully people that were really into the EP found some familiarity and some solace in that tune. For sure, yeah. Well, it's tough too. I mean, your EP came out in 2016? Am I making that number up? Yeah. So we're talking about over 5 years, basically. And it's always interesting, when bands put out artists, whoever puts out a record not for a long time, you've got to kind of imagine a couple records in there. Like their sound would have shifted, It's like always like one of my favorite bands of all time is Refused, and they put they put out that classic record, The Shape of Punk to Come, in like 98. Then they didn't put out another album until like 2016. So it's been like 18 years, and everyone's like, well, what happened? They're so different now. It's like, well, about 20 years happened. Right, exactly. And like, maybe we did miss out on some really great Refused records that you have to kind of imagine were in there that led to this sound today, right? Absolutely. And obviously this is a bit of a smaller scale, only 5 years, but you do grow a lot. And, of those 963 voice notes, something that maybe could have been songs or weren't or whatever, things over time changed. So I think most people are okay with that. I think people are getting more okay with that too, which is cool. Sure. I really, I think someone that I guess emulates that idea really well is probably Beck, because I feel like Beck has put out like from Sea Change, and I don't even know, I can pull up my Spotify to see what came after Sea Change, but to think about what came before Sea Change and then everything in between, is pretty wild. And I've never seen him live, but I would love to see him live because I've heard that he'll sort of section some of the show. Like he'll open with a bunch of slow, Sea Change-esque songs, and then he'll close with some of the more groovy party stuff. But he's definitely a good artist to sort of try to chase. And just the idea that like I can enjoy Sea Change and then I can enjoy everything else is pretty rad to me.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And yeah, Beck's a weird one for me because I remember, when Loser came out, and, that was like the breakthrough song. And I was like, this song sucks. Like, this guy sucks. Like, this song is stupid. Look what he's singing Spanish. I'm a loser, baby. Why don't you kill me? And honestly, like from there, I had to relearn this guy. Like, I had to every single time. I was like, okay. And eventually, I'm like, okay, the guy is a genius. But yeah, it's funny how, and this is a separate conversation, but one I've maybe been meaning to have on this podcast is how many artists seemingly started out their careers with sort of like a joke song or a gimmicky song and then ended up turning it into a really serious career. I mean, that one comes to mind. I'd say I Kissed a Girl, Katy Perry. That was super gimmicky song as well. Even The Killers, Somebody Told Me, that was sort of had a little bit of a gimmickiness too. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know. It's interesting.
I mean, I definitely don't think that like Creep by Radiohead would be gimmicky because it's an amazing song, but to see the evolution from there to where they've now, I think what was it, Moon-Shaped Pools, like that.
I loved it.
Transition is incredible. That's like, I think, especially with the Maine, we've tried to mimic those kind of career bands that started from something and kept people guessing as long as that people would listen. So bands like Wilco, bands like Radiohead, even bands like artists like Neil Young. And Neil Young talks a lot about the roller coaster of being, playing small clubs to playing arenas to back down to amphitheaters to back to small clubs. It's like, I think doing what you love and what you believe is real and true to you, I think is the most important thing.
This episode is brought to you by BetterHelp. This past year has taken its toll on so many of us mentally, interfering with our happiness and preventing us from achieving our goals. But BetterHelp is here for us. BetterHelp will assess your needs and match you with your own licensed professional therapist. Conveniently and securely from your home, anywhere in the world, you can find a professional with the particular expertise that you need online, not just limited to a counselor near you. You can start communicating in under 48 hours. And this is not a crisis line. It's not self-help. You'll be connected to the perfect counselor for you, and BetterHelp is so committed to this, they make it easy and free to change counselors if needed. Their licensed professional counselors are specialized in depression, stress, anxiety, relationships, sleeping, trauma, anger, family conflicts, LGBT matters, grief, self-esteem, and more, and anything you share is completely confidential. I want you to start living a happier life today. As a listener, you'll get 10% off your first month by visiting our sponsor at betterhelp.com/LSS. Join over 1 million people who have taken charge of their mental health. Again, that's BetterHelp, HELP.com/LSS. If you've been listening to this podcast for the last little while, you've heard my excitement. You've heard me rave about this hot sauce. Heartbeat Hot Sauce Company, coming straight out of Thunder Bay, Ontario. They sent me their peri-peri sauce. I blew through it so quickly. It's so delicious. They sent me more. They sent me their red habanero, their pineapple habanero, their jalapeno. They are all so delicious. Next level hot sauces, but not next level in heat. Next level in flavor. That to me is what sets them apart. Flavor forward, heat balanced, even great for people that are not hot sauce people. I am loving everything that they do. They have so many great flavors no matter what food you're eating. Visit heartbeathotsauce.com, use promo code LSS at checkout, and get 20% off your entire purchase. Or you can also go to your closest retailer and get your hands on their hottest sauce so far, the Scorpion. But to take advantage of this special offer for Lead Singer Syndrome listeners, you're going to love this hot sauce. Tell them I sent you. heartbeathotsauce.com and use promo code LSS. Have you ever written something to someone and not gotten the reaction you expected? Did you wonder why what you meant somehow got lost in the translation? It can be super hard to say things exactly the way you mean anyway, but these days with so much communication happening through email, text, or social media, it's more important than ever to have clarity and make better connections. This is why you need Grammarly Premium. I use it every single day. I just wish I had it years ago. It analyzes your writing for overused words and even makes suggestions. It checks for clarity and removes redundant and unnecessary words and checks the tone of what you're writing. Sometimes it will tell me my tone is aggressive. I would have never realized that before. Grammarly Premium doesn't just correct your mistakes, it helps you build up your skills as a writer. You can harness its power on all your devices, mobile and desktop, your favorite sites and apps, whether it's Outlook, Gmail, Twitter, LinkedIn, it does it all. So make your writing flawless, interesting, and clear. Do more than just spell check. Say what you really mean with Grammarly Premium. Get 20% off Grammarly Premium by signing up at Grammarly.com/LSS. That's 20% off at GRAMMARLY.com/LSS.
No, 100%. And that's a great little segue into, the main and everything. Your solo record has come out on 8123, and so has the last, 4 or 5, the main records. And, this is your own label. This is your own management company. You guys kind of have this all-encompassing thing where you're a completely independent artist, which I think a lot of people that aren't super immersed in your band they don't know this, which is maybe a bit of a compliment that you're able to do this and exist in your own world and not have really anything fall by the wayside, which is the reason why most bands aren't independent, because they're afraid of that happening. If they don't have this company behind them or this name behind them, then maybe they won't be taken as seriously or they won't be as organized or whatever it is.
I think it's pretty evident that we are certainly getting away from, and I use the royal we, I think the music industry is getting away from the idea that you have to have RCA on the record or Geffen on the record or any of these huge labels to be successful. There's so many stories of people making records in their bedrooms, putting them on SoundCloud and becoming, self-made over, a couple months time. And I feel like it's, I feel like it's really incredible. I've been kind of doing this radio-esque show on Spotify. I've had 5 episodes called Ear Candy, but I've been asking people to send me music. I've been asking them to email me stories about music, stories about how music is, because before the main, I was just a music fanatic. I just wanted all things new music. I wanted to find the new band. I wanted to learn all the lyrics. I wanted to learn everything about the band. And then as we started touring and as I started I guess growing up, I lost time, or I lost the drive to like seek out new music. So
Yeah.
even yesterday, I got turned on to this artist called LP, and there was, I mean, millions and millions of plays on Spotify and millions of plays on YouTube. And this is an artist I had never heard of.
Sure.
And it's really amazing that exists, that you can find something that so many people are connecting with, and you can have no idea, and then you can be immersed in their world just as easy. So I think it's really, I don't know. I think for maybe for like business people in the music industry, it's sort of like hectic and maybe super stressful. And not to say that we're not stressed as a band, but I feel like the comforts that we enjoy being stringless it far outweigh the idea of like, you know, I guess being controlled and being told what to do. I mean, like I'm sitting in the tracking room of, or I guess the control room of a studio that we were able to buy last year as a band. And it's just pretty credible. Like we're so freaking fortunate that we're in this position. And I think what it really does for us is it drives us to want to work and to make sustain as long as it can. You know, I don't think any of us thought that 15 years would surpass and we'd still be doing this. So I think those kind of things and the stories that people tell us, and you know, those are the things that sort of like keep that fire lit and want us to work harder, so that another 15 years passes by and you look back and you're like, wow, what the hell just happened? You know what I mean? Like, I think that's the world that we're trying to build. So
that's cool. No, I didn't know that you guys had purchased a studio. That's super rad. So you guys are essentially recording there, I'm sure, your own projects and your own things, and then also when you're not using it, having other artists come in?
Well, that would be the hopes. Like we were leasing a place in Mesa, Arizona, and it was kind of crazy because our lease was kind of running out, and we were all kind of worried about where we'd be kind of thrown. You know, we wanted a place to keep some of our stuff, to be able to record kind of at the drop of a dime. So we ended up just kind of coming together, all five of us, and then our manager as well, and pooled some money and took out some loans, and we found a new place to call our clubhouse. And I think that would be, you know, the big thing would be, hey, we can now record our records here. But the really cool, you know, added bonus would be, yo, come out to Arizona. You know, any of our friends that we've made, like, come out to Arizona for a week, you know, obviously once traveling exists again and, you know, that whole thing kind of happens. That would be amazing to kind of share a bit of the Southwest and just sort of like really, I don't know. I love Arizona. Like I want to like share that with other artists and share kind of the experience, because so many of my friends, not even just touring friends, but, you know, this preconceived idea of Arizona being like people on horseback and like, and all like rattlesnakes and, so
I love it.
It's, yeah.
Oh, I love it. But part of it is probably because I'm from Canada, and like right now, actually we have a warm day today. It's about 7 degrees Celsius here. So all the snow is starting to melt.
What is that in Fahrenheit?
That's like 40 maybe.
Okay.
40-ish.
It's 75 Fahrenheit here right now.
Yeah. Like,
but it's getting warm. It's like we coasted for a bit, and then 4 months out of the year is like, it's pretty severe. So
yeah, well, severe hot, sure, okay, yeah, it's something, but like severe cold here.
Oh God, no, I can't do it.
No, you couldn't.
I mean,
you couldn't. It's horrible.
You guys have different blood. It's like it for me. I'm like, with my wife and I took our dogs up north in Arizona, and like, 2 days of snow is incredible. Because we went to bed, it snowed 11 inches. We wake up and it's like, oh, our dogs are having a blast. We're like, this is amazing, and then we drive 3 hours down south and it's like, hey, it's 75 and sunny and there's no snow on the ground. So like it's definitely, I'm a couple day kind of guy for sure. No, I definitely give you guys respect and all the props for being able to brave it like that.
No. I mean, we actually just had this conversation with somebody about how Arizona would be a great place to build a studio too. I mean, you've got a big airport there. It's pretty cheap. You got lots of space. Hey, if you want to go solar, there's lots of sunshine,
Absolutely.
So there's tons of upside to Arizona in so many ways.
Yeah, so. Yeah, and I feel like our drummer Patrick. Yeah. Actually, his baby is about to be 1 on Sunday.
Oh, so, wow! Yeah, you guys have been. Go ahead.
The roots are starting to get actually like settled down here. So
yeah, no. Well, congrats on your marriage too. You just got married what? A few months ago?
Thank you. Yeah,
and
in October. Yeah.
Yeah. Congrats on that, and yeah, with you guys starting families and everything, that's a beautiful thing. With your wedding, were you able to actually do anything cool? Because that was maybe a window where some things were open, and before I think a lot of things got shut down around Christmas again, at least here. But I don't know what it's like there.
Yeah, not the. It wasn't the fairy tale that my wife envisioned.
Oh man, yeah.
I think the problem too is like we had to. You put the deposit down for all this stuff, and then they were like, "Okay, you got to go all the way next year." So we did like what they in the wedding industry are now calling micro weddings. It was like 16 people just up north in California where she's from. So we still got to experience like the ceremonial part of it.
Right.
And now that things are starting to become, more sorted with like, I guess the place that we were talking about getting married is they're doing weddings and they're trying to figure out, what the best protocol is and how the hell you do it in a pandemic. So, we're hopeful, but we'll figure it out.
Well, I guess for you being, that you're John from the Maine and everybody loves you and you're very popular and you have lots of friends. Now you don't have to break any hearts by not inviting people to the wedding. You know what I mean? Because it's hard.
That's true.
When you're in a position like we are, lead singers in semi-popular bands, it's like, okay, well, if we get married now, like, who do we invite? Because we're going to have to snub some people. So if you whittle it down to 16, you're good.
The hardest, the most guff that I got was from the family. They're like they're the ones that were like, well, why did your brother get to go? I'm like, because it's my brother. Like, I'm not saying that I still love you, but he's my brother. I'm like, so now they're definitely, we'll be able to sort everyone's feelings out now.
Yeah, no, exactly. All right. Well, speaking of the Maine, you guys released back in October as well. You released a new single, Watermelon Sugar. I mean, typically that means there's more coming. Maybe you just recorded one song. I'm wondering if you can, talk about the next plans. Obviously, you just put out a record a week ago yourself, but people I'm sure are wondering, what the process is looking like for the Maine right now.
Yeah, absolutely. That was so Watermelon Sugar was just a Harry Styles cover, and it was.
Oh, is that a Harry Styles cover? Oh, I didn't even know that.
So it was,
that's how out of the loop I am.
So it was just it felt like a good transition just to like, hey, everyone, we're still a band kind of thing.
Right. Yeah.
And so I obviously knew that like this John the Ghost, like record cycle would be very mini, much like so let's call it a micro cycle if we're going with the micro wedding kind of vibe.
Sure.
We were, I knew that it was going to be short-lived to an extent. So I'm not going to give you exact specific dates, but we're already sort of like working, with the whole record's done. We have to like mix one last song and then send it off, and then it's 100% there. We produced it ourselves. And that was the very last thing we recorded in the studio that we had ended the lease with right before we moved into here. So it's things will be coming very soon. And I'm really excited. It's been interesting because we've been sitting with these songs for so long.
Yeah.
And so I've been really reluctant to like listen to it. Cause normally like you, I don't know how you feel about listening to stuff straight away after you record it, but you want to kind of get an understanding of where they're living in that sort of time period. And, I've been reluctant to put it on play. Obviously I have to listen to the songs for mix purposes.
Right.
But other than those ones, I'm like still putting it off because I want to be excited again, and remember how I felt in the studio. So I would say, patience is obviously a virtue, and it's very, very close.
So when you say you produced the record yourself, see, there's always a weird thing when you come from like punk rock, like we do, where I don't know how many of those records we listened to or grew up with were really like that produced. Do you know what I mean? Like there were a lot of it was like, okay, band's got a song, and then there's a guy that's like the producer, I guess, but he's just kind of like push and record and like making sure that the takes are good and it sounds like decent, and because he's probably mixing it too. So when you say you produced it yourself, what exactly does that mean? Because you worked with lots of great producers, but did you have an engineer at least working on that side of things?
Yeah. So our good buddy Matt Keller, who actually helped co-produce the John the Ghost stuff, he was the guy behind the board. So we could kind of be in the room and be recording, but he was definitely a huge set of ears, making sure that, things were sounding up to his par. Mm-hmm. And I think we have got to a point where we trust him a great deal. So it was kind of, we like did the pre-production. I guess we did pre-production on a few songs with our buddy Colby Wedgeworth, who had done Pioneer, American Candy, and Love It Lonely. So the initial idea was like, hey, maybe we just have him record it and produce it. And then we started thinking about things a little bit more and thought like, well, what if we got him to just help with some of the arrangements, and then gave it a shot on our own. And so that's ended up what we ended up doing. And we did pre-production at my house, and we quarantined there, and everybody, lived there for 2 weeks. And then we rented an Airbnb in Mesa in Arizona, where we quarantined while we were making the record. So it was like, it was the pandemic version of how to record independently.
Yeah.
And, produced is such a, we tracked everything and thought it sounded good. Now, if that comes across produced in the end, I'm not sure what the result will sound like, but, we're really happy with where things landed.
Yeah, no, I know. I remember being a kid and like Metallica would release like old demos or something, and they would always put not very produced by Metallica. and I'm like 13 or whatever, and I'm just thinking to myself, I've got a guitar, I'm like maybe have dreams of being a musician one day, and I'm just thinking, what the fuck does that mean? Right? Like, what does produced even mean? What does not very produced by the band mean? So I think that
I love that.
A lot of people are still very confused about what a producer really does, because there's a lot of different levels of it. In it can be everything from pretty much just hitting the record button to doing everything except for singing, you know?
Yeah. I think that's the thing is like we've had seven opportunities. I guess maybe we've had probably like 5 different producers, or four different producers. We did Matt Squire, Howard Benson, Colby Wedgeworth, Brendan Benson, and then repeated a few of those. So 4 different opportunities, and each 4 of those producers, certainly vastly different approaches. We've had everything from the Brendan Benson approach, which was sort of a hands-off, let's keep things organic, and that's kind of what will be endearing about the stuff. Howard Benson, who pretty much didn't talk to the band, like only talked to the singer, which was an uncomfortable experience, like weird.
Okay.
But had a great team of engineers that were working in his studio that and for my 2 cents, probably produced more than he did. Matt Squire, who's very different from Colby Wedgeworth. So yeah, to add to your point, you know, it's been, I think not very produced is probably what we did on this record.
I highly doubt that, but no. Yeah. Howard Benson, And I mean, he's made some incredible records. I mean, I've never met him, but I've heard stories like about him. He's working on, you know, multiple records at the same time. So like he'll come in with a band and maybe he'll do pre-production, you know, for a few days, or like some producers will come in just for like an hour or two, then like leave, then come back. And I heard that this one band he recorded, he like did drums with the band, and then he left. They recorded all the guitars.
That's kind of like what he did for us, to be honest. And it was like his big thing. We were on Warner Brothers for the second record called Black and White, and our A&R at the time, Craig Aronson, who has since passed, but it was such an awesome energy, and he had us kind of like pegged as like we wanted to, you know, do this Americana thing, but a little more poppy. So like a Tom Petty, but a little poppier. And Howard came in and was like, keep the drums straight. And so that was like his huge words of wisdom for the drum approach on the record. And then he would dip. And then there would be other artists that would like, there was this guitar player, her name was Orianthi, and she was Michael Jackson's guitar player, and he was working with her at the time. And it was just, it's all, I have no disdain. I have no ill will towards any of the people. I just know that some of the experiences were far more enjoyable than others, for sure.
Right. Wow. That's wild. That's wild.
Yeah.
And Matt Squire's known for, I think of Matt Squire, I think of him recording like The Chariot and, you know,
shit.
Yeah. Like heavy shit. So that's cool too, but he's incredible. There's a question in the chat here. Actually, I scrolled up and I wanted to ask, it's talking about Sad Summer. Ryan Grace is asking about it compared to Warped Tour. Obviously it's a lot different, but I do want to get your take just on, you know, post Warped Tour touring climate now in the face of COVID. Like, what is happening? Like, you guys had really a lot of success with Sad Summer post Warped Tour. There was other tours that went out that did really, really quite badly, and Sad Summer was killing it. And, you know, you guys were supposed to be on the installment again back in 2020, and now it looks like it's going to be 2022, or no, 2021 still on the books. We're not sure yet.
Not sure yet,
but it doesn't look good. But talk to me about that whole Sad Summer thing, because it was really cool that you guys had so much success with that, you know, and all the great lineup, whoever it was, State Champs and Wonder Years and Mayday Parade.
Yeah. So selfishly, the idea kind of came from us in the sense that we wanted to be able to tour well, a big like idea of ours had always been like we want to do like a triple co-headline kind of tour.
Yeah.
And so we started with that intention and that idea, and we kind of had to do not a ton of coaxing or convincing. We just had to reach out directly to Mayday, and Mayday's been really great friends of ours for a long time. We've toured with them a ton. And we got them on board, and it was kind of this like, hey, if we can get state champs on board and if we can get Wonder Years on board, what do you think? And so when they said like, yes, then it was like, hey, state champs, like we got Mayday Parade on board. They really want you. And so it was like this, it was sort of not a weasel kind of thing. It was just like, hey, we want to create, I think the similarity we wanted to kind of create from Warped Tour was like, what if we could make just a single day of a main stage of Warped Tour? And that was kind of like, can we sort of recreate that environment and bring that to people, but maybe curate the bands a little bit more so that they live in more of a similar world, but there's still something for everybody, you know? So opening acts would be, you know, we had just 8 different bands, but there was a commonality, I think, that kind of flowed throughout. And when we went out and did it, it was very reminiscent to Warped Tour in that our band was setting up all the decorations, and Mayday was out there in the morning starting to help us like set up. We had like a weird little toy kind of emo toy booth kind of thing, and it was very like, again, DIY, but that's kind of where Mayday had started. You know, Mayday sold 10,000 records without even being on Warped Tour, just selling to people in line.
That's right.
We flyered Warped Tour before our band was even, I don't even think we had music out on MySpace yet, you know? So it was like, our roots are very much founded in the idea of doing things as DIY as possible. And then people came, you know, and it was like, I think people enjoyed the lineup enough. And I felt like the days were really cool, and we were really, really hyped on the idea that it was somewhat of a success, and that we were going to build off that energy and build off that momentum and build off the, you know, what people enjoyed about it, and work on the things people, you know, didn't enjoy or didn't go over so well. And we have a great lineup. It's going to be dope.
Yeah, it is.
It's going to be cool whenever it happens. And when it does, hopefully, you know, my big hope just for touring in general, and I think a lot of people probably have said the same thing, is that, you know, when things open back up and when we're allowed to enjoy concerts again, I'm beyond excited to see and feel the energy from people in crowds. You know, I think that's going to be probably, I mean, I'm hopeful that that's something that our bands, you know, have never experienced before. And hopefully it will be sort of that surreal, like, holy crap, what's going on, you know?
Well, how could it not be? You know,
yeah,
I mean, I just turned 40 last weekend, dude, and I'm like,
congratulations,
thank you, and
Happy birthday.
I'm like itching to get back in the pit. You know what I mean? So if
yeah,
I'm 40 and I'm feeling that way, how is somebody that's, you know, 23 feeling? Right,
for
you know.
Sure.
So
the last time I crowd surfed, we were on tour with Taking Back Sunday, and I think I was 26, and I'm 32 now. So I was being a dumbass, and I was crowd surfing, but like being crazy, got an elbow to the rib. And for like, you know, a couple weeks after that, I'm like, I'm never doing that again. I will do it again and again and again at 32 now, just because.
Oh man, that's too good. No, I had a funny flashback of when you're putting together the Sad Summer lineup of when they were putting together the Live Aid lineup.
Yeah,
and it was like, wait, Like the Who's playing? Oh, wait, Bowie's gonna be there? Okay, then I'm there. Like, and then you like, you know, were they even confirming these people? Just saying they were, and then eventually they were all like, okay, well, I guess if they're doing it, I got to do it. You know,
exactly. And it's the modest version of Live Aid.
Yes, quite a bit more modest. I promised the Stain story.
Yes,
because it's been a while, and
it's been a while.
This story. This is an old story. 2003, Silverstein, we were on one of our early tours, and I believe we were playing at University of Connecticut, UConn.
Okay.
So we roll into this. It's like a university show. They're always kind of weird, you know? Like students can go for free, but if you're a regular person, you have to pay $10 or whatever. So
the lineup's kind of always all over the place.
Yeah, we were playing. I don't remember who we were playing with. But so we get in there and it's like, so it's like they have a budget for the show. So no one's really worried about how many people are coming anyway. So we get into the backstage and there's this, you know, table just full of shit. Like our entire rider, you know, every snack and whatever, because, you know, for people watching this or listening to this, like you have a rider, usually like you kind of have your full rider. And then you have like the rider you sort of need, and then you know the rider you might get. So we had like everything, which we'd never gotten before. We'd never gotten like 100% of it. So I was like blown away, and the guy came in and said, "Did you have everything you need?" You know, and I'm like, "Oh yeah, this is great." Like he's like, "Are you sure?" Like 100%, because you know we've had some issues before. We just want to make sure that we're good. So I'm like, "Okay, like yeah, well, like what issues did you have?" So he's like, well, we had, is it Aaron? Is that his name from Stained?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, Aaron, I forget his last name. So he was there playing a show, I guess like a couple months before. So he rolls in, you know, half an hour kind of before his set time. And he's like, okay, you know, looking around. Aaron Lewis, that's it. Yeah, thank you, chat. And, he can't find, he's asking where his salami is. So they're like, oh, well, it's right here. And he's like, no, that's not the right brand. It has to be this brand of salami.
Oh, no.
Or I can't go on stage. So they're like, oh, okay, well, we can try to go get it, I guess. So they send the runner out to the store to try to find this one specific brand of salami. I don't know which brand of salami it was. And so, like, you know, time's a ticking. He's supposed to be on stage. He's late. Everyone's nervous. The crowd's waiting. So finally, like, I don't know how late he is. Guy comes in with the salami. He's like, I got the salami. Here we go. Aaron Lewis opens the package of salami, rubs it on his hands, and says, all right, I'm good. Goes on stage, plays the show.
Oh, my God.
This is the story.
What kind of power move is that play? Like, or
I don't know.
I don't even know if it's power. I'm not sure. You know.
Is it that? Like, the only thing I'm thinking of is that it's something to do with, like, his hands. Like, he needs to have his hands greased up to, like, play guitar.
I feel like there's so many better methods of getting your hands greasy than rubbing it on some lunch meat, but
a specific type.
But also, I'm not Aaron Lewis. I didn't write It's Been a While.
You didn't. I bet you wish you did.
There's a similar, real quick, and it's not.
Yeah.
It's not that. Not as good of a finale, but I have a friend who worked at Gamage Theater in Tempe, so right by the Arizona State University, and he was doing a show. He was hospitality for, I think it was David Copperfield, the magician.
Yeah,
and David Copperfield he said the biggest fit he's ever seen by an adult. Things were flying across the dressing room because his rotisserie chicken was missing. And it was something very similar. The rotisserie was found. It was summoned and brought to David Copperfield. He opened up the container, took a sliver out, ate it, and then went and performed his magic. So there might be something to to meats and the power to go on. I'm not sure.
Know.
So,
I don't know. That's that's a great story too. Wow.
I like the rubbed his hands and then said, "All right, we're good."
Yeah, that's the story. Like, yeah, and I mean, it didn't seem like he was all that dramatic about it. He just needed the salami. But that's the thing. I need to get him on the show. Someone's got to track down Aaron Lewis. I got to ask him if this is true.
Absolutely.
You know, I think I've been doing this podcast for 5 years now. I think it's time for Aaron Lewis to
It's time.
It's time. I'm calling him out. Get on the show.
Salami.
Set the record straight, okay? Speaking of, you've got this show on Spotify, Ear Candy. You talked about it. I didn't know about it till you mentioned it, but I see it here. 7 episodes. You're talking about all kinds of music. How does that work? Well, what's the difference between a show and a podcast? Is this not just a podcast?
I have no idea.
Okay.
The difference is I think I'm able to integrate the actual songs in the podcast.
Oh, okay.
In the show. So I've just been, to be honest, I'm not a tech guy. So my drummer Pat told me about this website Anchor, and it's super easy to record, and then I can curate a playlist, drag in the songs. So I'm just doing some babbling like I would normally do in any scenario on stage or at home or whatever. And then I play some music, talk about it. I've been really trying to base it off of music that I was not made aware of until I was told by these people writing into my email. So, I don't know. It is a podcast, but more so for me, it's about this. It's about hanging on to the aux cord and making people listen to whatever I want to play. So
nice. The aux cord. The aux cord is going to be a thing. People won't know what you're talking about in a while.
Oh, it's already archaic.
It's already gone?
Sure. I'm sure.
Dude, I remember we had our van. We had our aux cord for our shitty stereo we had that replaced our van stereo was in the back. So we had to plug it in and then just have a cord dangling that we could plug in. But I mean, go ahead.
My dad still has, he's got an older 4Runner, and he still uses a cassette tape.
Oh yeah.
You put in the cassette and then out the cord comes, and now he's got the dongle attached to that. It's a pretty dad rig for sure.
No, that's fantastic, man. No, it's I love all that stuff. We had back in the day, we used to burn MP3s as files onto CDs and play them in our van. That was a thing we were doing because if you burn it as an MP3, it'll play the data. It's before iPods or MP3 players existed. That was the thing you used to do. It's crazy, man. Now my new car doesn't even have a CD player. So
it's a trip.
Or AM radio. My car doesn't even have AM radio.
Really?
Which kind of bothers me. Yeah.
I got mine's a 2014, so I still have a CD player, and I've never used it, and I still have AM. And that I'll use it occasionally, but now they don't stream the Coyotes games anymore on AM radio. They pulled the deal, so
right.
I can't listen to hockey on the radio anymore.
Too bad. Yeah, I forgot you're a Diamondbacks guy, Coyotes guy. I forgot about that. I think last time we talked about sports
I'm jumping on the Suns bandwagon for sure.
Devin Booker, hell
Suns
of a player.
Are on fire.
Look at that guy.
Yeah,
I love that guy. Well, dude. What else to tell the people before I let you go? Thanks so much again for joining me on here on Twitch. You signed up for Twitch yet? You got an account? You streaming?
I don't have an account, but when I'm really into Call of Duty, I was watching people play.
Yeah.
But then I retire. My wife was giving me too much crap, and I was like, maybe I can get some money for this at GameStop, and they ended up giving me $80. So I hung the hat, but I need to sign up for sure.
Nice, dude. Cool. Well, what else to tell the people before I let you go?
Oh man, not a ton. Listen to John the Ghost. Listen to Maine if you want. If you don't, that's cool. take care of each other, take care of yourselves. Thanks again for having me, man. It's good to talk to you again.
It is. It's great to catch up with you, man. And yeah, all the best. And yeah, I love the new record, seriously. And yeah, I do encourage everybody to check out John the Ghost and the record. What is it? It's not You Only Live Once. God, I hate that. I only want to live once. That's it.
Yeah.
There it is. It's great. All right, man.
Well,
I'll let you go.
Thank you very much, dude.
John, thanks so much.
Care.
Yeah, all the best.
Same to you.
So there it is with John O'Callaghan of the Maine, of John the Ghost. The new John the Ghost album is out now, not to be missed. It's good stuff. It's been a while. Yeah, that Aaron Lewis story, I have no reason to think it isn't true. There's only one way to find out. We got to get him on the show. I think it's time. Speaking of guests up and coming, don't forget, this Tuesday, April 6th, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, twitch.tv/Shane Told, Jacoby Shaddix of Papa Roach will be on the program. I am super duper excited, and I would love to have y'all out in droves for that one on Twitch, okay? So come hang. Come join us, please. It's going to be really good. Shout out to all my sinners worldwide. Thanks again for all the support. You can find more information at leadsingersyndrome.com/all-access. Don't miss tomorrow with me and Mike. New noise every Friday. And I got to leave you the tune, right? That's what we do. And I know which one I'm going to pick. This song kind of spoke to me. I don't know what it is. I love this song. It's kind of in the middle of his record. Okay, it's track 4. It is called Drive. Here it is from John the Ghost on Lead Singer Syndrome. Peace and love. See you next Tuesday.
Do you wanna go for a drive? I've got the car parked outside now. You can play DJ. The TV said the world's on fire. If it really is the end of times, well, we can watch it from the freeway. The whole world's crashing down. Drive till the road runs out. Drive till the road runs out. You wanna go for a drive? We can put it in gear. Leave the city tonight. Get the fuck out of here. You can put the whole world in the passenger mirror. Our work is to conserve. Watch it all disappear. You wanna go for a drive? Have you ever seen the Midwest sky? Or Jackson in the dead of night? No, Lake Michigan on repeat. And when's the last time that you felt more than alright? Doing nothing except watch the world roll by. From the comfort of the front seat. The whole world is crashing down. Drive till the road runs out. Drive till the road runs out. You wanna go for a drive? We can put it in gear. Leave the city tonight. Get the fuck out of here. You can put the whole world in the passenger mirror. The work is to conserve. Watch it all disappear. You wanna go for a drive? Keep straight to notice now. We escape the doomsday clouds. We outrun the rising sun. Let worry come undone. The whole world is crashing down now. Drive till the road runs out now. Outrun the setting sun. Let worry come undone. You wanna go for a drive?